Did Senzo Mchunu just say that the PKTT lacks structure and legal recognition?
Of the structure, the organizational structure, that to have it continue to exist, this temporary team, the PKTT, is constitutionally untenable.
In the context of its impact to SAPS to reach out their mandates.
Okay. With that answer, then it must mean even the taxi violence task team is constitutionally untenable to continue to have it, given your reasoning about the PKTT.
That is why the taxi task team was put under specialized units inside SAPS organogram.
Okay, but you didn't dissolve it. You didn't disband it.
No, what happened with it? It was put under murder and robbery.
That is a big claim coming from him as the minister or the on-leave minister of police. In this video, let us talk about Senzo Mchunu's testimony. Hey guys, this guy is contradicting himself and whatever that he's saying does not make sense. Let me show you how. The first thing that Senzo Mchunu spoke about was that the PKTT was costly and that it had to fall under the unaliving and robbery unit, which is one of the units that are in the SAPS. And mind you, the murder and robbery unit, or the unaliving and robbery unit, it's a unit that is under Shadrack Sibiya's overseership or oversight. So he was giving this person that power to control the PKTT. That's what he wanted. At the same time, he's saying that he wanted to disband immediately, and that the disbanding immediately did not mean immediately. You remember, guys, what happened yesterday?
Sentence. This is what it says. I therefore direct that the political killings task team be disestablished immediately. So my reading of it is that you were directing that something be done immediately, not that you were saying you have made an immediate decision that something must happen in the future. So if you can just...
Definitely, that is part of what immediately, in terms of the decision that has been taken, would mean. It would mean start thinking about the process. Start preparing the report. Start, aligning yourself with this or any other kind of response. So it indicates that even though we are not stopping now, everything switching off now, but switch on the process.
So he says that it doesn't mean immediately they knew that this disbandment was going to happen because they had a meeting prior with Van Masemula and they spoke about the review of the PKTT. So in a way, the immediate disbandment, they foresaw it, or they knew that it was going to come because of the review that happened.
On the 1st of November, we discussed this matter, and I think there are attachments that point to the content of our discussion on the day, but it was not disbandment, it was review of the PKTT. And on the 22nd, it was the same.
Sentence. You have said there hadn't been a review as at the 1st of November. There hadn't been a review of the PKTT's capabilities and a reconsideration. You've just said that, and what I'm putting to you is, therefore, it must follow that in that proposal that you make, or in that statement that you make in that first line, you are speaking about the future. From the 1st of November, there must be a review. It has to be, Minister.
I agree with you.
Thank you. Mr. Thank you.
And then he spoke about the process of disbandment, and that he didn't mean that you immediately disband now. He wanted the winding down process to start, and he wanted it, to be taken step by step, of which I predicted that would be his excuse. He said that they immediately meant the decision, not the team. So the team, he wanted the winding down process of, dissolving it so that it can fall under one of the units that are existing.
That immediately alone you remove the preliminary report, and you remove the UNESCO meeting that was attached to that very directive, immediately loses meaning as in the directive.
I'm sorry, Minister. I want to understand your use of immediately. What do you say immediately relates to? Does it relate to the disbandment, that is disbandment immediately? If not, what do you say it relates to? I'm not sure I understood you.
It relates to a decision having been taken. So saying to the National Commissioner, take note that the decision has been taken immediately. The decision.
So it is you that acted immediately.
Maybe let me put it like this to explain. It doesn't say, for instance, with immediate effect. It says immediately, meaning this decision has been taken immediately.
So,
today he comes with a different claim altogether. He comes and he says that the PKTT administratively unattainable.
And you say that continuation has become untenable both administratively and constitutionally. We'll come back to the administratively. Could you explain what you mean by the conclusion that the continuation has become untenable constitutionally? How do you invite the commissioners to understand that phrase? Are you invoking any provision of the Constitution, or
no,
I'm trying to understand?
No, it was just in broad reference to our constitutional mandate that SAPS must, as a mandate, their mandate is to prevent, it is to investigate, it is to combat. So it was just in broad reference. That if you have, in other words, if you continue with structures that are not part of your organogram, you are less likely to fulfill your mandate.
So, in trying to test my understanding, or maybe before I do, I might benefit from a further explanation by you. So we have addressed the notion of the continuation being constitutionally untenable. I hear your answer. But then you say both administratively and constitutionally. What in this context would administratively refer to? What would be administratively untenable?
It was making reference to capacity of SAPS at any level, in this instance, national level, in the first place, to manage a proliferation of task teams, because the more you have them, the more it becomes untenable or difficult to manage and control on the side of the National Commissioner.
Means that it lacked the prerequisite structure. And these are really serious allegations. This thing of being administratively unattainable means that there is no legal standing as official unit. It did not follow SAPS Act procedures. It was outside SAPS approved structures. And it had no formal approval from the treasurer, and that the appointment and the structure was irregular. I just feel like this is a big lie, especially from the testimonies that we've heard. It seems like he was suggesting that it was not properly created under the SAPS laws. But that's the thing. Not all structures are supposed to be legally created in the SAPS. And that this excuse of him saying that it was just a temporary unit that was supposed to be disbanded at some point is just very much flawed, and doesn't mean that it didn't have a structure. From what we've heard, even he himself, if you guys remember, on the first day when he appeared before Madlanga, he did say that there was that plan, that structure plan, that 5 plan that Khumalo had, which assisted them in the prosecution thereof of these cases that are politically motivated.
Is not addressing murder cases the traditional way as it is done within SAPS currently, where someone is killed, you go out and look for the killer, and then you try to link that killer with the evidence that you have in your possession, and then you consider as a successful investigation. As the team is approaching these investigations using the analysis-led as well as the model of investigation, as the team approaches the docket, the first phase of investigation is not directed towards finding the killer. The first phase is directed towards determining and confirming the motive of this killing as to who might have wanted this particular deceased dead, instead of asking as to who's responsible for the killing. The first part talks to who might have wanted. It is that thorough motive investigation.
Is that the so-called hit orderers that the National Commission referred to?
Yes, I'm going there, commissioners. Once the motive is identified, then automatically it will come up with identification of persons of interest.
You guys can hear. There was a structure. So where is this constitutional and administrative unattainabilities coming from? Because there was a structure and it was working. It even went to the point that Udumsani Kumalo and the team were even teaching people were using their strategy to teach other teams. And then we're saying these people didn't have administrative unattainability.
It's included as one of the recommendations to the powers that be, that we recommend that this methodology is used as a benchmark to try and change the way we are investigating crime, because our traditional way is still suitable for normal crime, the assault commons, the assault GPH, but then when it comes to organized crime, the same traditional ways are not applicable. So we will recommend that with all our reports. There has been attempts, Commissioner, if I may divert from my affidavit, there's been attempt. There was a time, a year, where all provinces were requested to send a minimum of 6 members of SAPS to come and sit with the PKTT and learn. So we will have classes at night, and then during the day, we send them out with the teams for practicals. And it was a successful intervention or attempt.
Oh, what guys? And that was a structure itself. They knew how they're going to structure this whole thing, but because he wanted to listen to Patricia as well as Mary DeHaas more than anything, and that to him was enough to decide that this PKTT was administratively unattainable, meaning that it lacked the structure, it lacked the control. It was just a hullabaloo task team where everybody was just doing whatever that they wanted.
But administrative untenability of the continued existence of the PKTT, you did not discuss them with the National Commissioner, those complaints.
We discussed some of them.
No, the ones that you've listed. You've given us a list, and
yes,
you're referencing them now, including those names that you gave yesterday. You did not say to the National Commissioner, I've got these complaints. I want your response to them.
The ones that are here, I did. The ones that are in the envelope, I didn't.
Okay, all right. Where I'm going with it is you get to a point where you make a decision that those complaints are evidence of administrative untenability, to whatever we mean with that concept. You say these complaints, they show that there's a problem administratively, but you don't verify those complaints with your management. And yet, on the basis of those complaints, you conclude the continued existence of the PKTT is administratively untenable. You get them, and I'm happy to confine myself that you get that list. You don't verify with your management, certainly not with the National Commissioner. You don't verify that list, so you don't know whether it's true or not. People are making allegations. You don't know whether what they've told you, whatever it is that they tell you, you don't know how the SAPS reacts to that, how your National Commissioner reacts to that, but you conclude that those make it untenable, administratively untenable for the PKTT to continue to exist. How is that a proper thought process that leads you to this far-reaching conclusion it's administratively untenable to continue to exist?
Again, the ones that are here, I discussed with the National Commissioner.
But that's the thing. Before you can decide on the structure that he says it's temporary, that he says it's ad hoc, Before you can decide to disband the structure, isn't it that you need to consult with the proper people, not Abomeri Dihas Nabo Patricia? Go to the National Commissioner, and most importantly, to Misani Kumalo, because it's like the overseer of this ad hoc team that has been formed. Speak to them instead of making a decision. But he says that that meeting, that review process, as well as work study that was conducted, all of these things, they were enough for him to decide to disband the PKTT. I think it just doesn't make sense, guys. I think Senzo Mchunu is literally playing all of us and is literally lying. And I don't think there's a comeback for him when it comes to this whole thing. Let me move to another thing that he said yesterday, and that is the issue of the PKTT being not really a national thing, even though it's an NPKTT and it's supposed to do or cover all the unalivings that are happening, investigate all of them. Since it is politically motivated, it's very limiting.
Instead of being seen to be servicing people up the hierarchy at their expense, or be seen to be living there, is exactly what we are all complaining about, that we are creating an element of elitism in government. And we are creating distance, those of us who happen to be in government for that time being. We cut ourselves out of the people. The figures indicate who is dying, who is suffering, who is actually a victim of murders in South Africa, is the majority of people.
And I think that is one of the very problematic things that he has said. I believe that the PKTT was not really politically focused and that it had a broad role that it had to play. Because, guys, you must remember that these leaders that are being unalived because of political motivation and that these gangs that are involved, it's organized crimes. You must know that they don't affect these politicians. It might be the politician because they are in the public eye, but still they affect me and you as the community. As we know, if you've grown up in the townships or you've grown up in black communities, if something affects you, it affects the rest of the community. If something affects one person, it affects everybody. So it doesn't make sense for Senzo Mchunu to say that this team was only focusing on a small fraction of matters instead of a bigger fraction of matters. Hence, they wanted it to be part of a particular unit so that it can deal with all matters. Guys, politically unalivings, politically motivated unalivings affect you and me whether we like it or not. Because in as much as it might be an unaliving of a councillor, but at the end of the day, if there's gangs that are operating a certain syndicate, it will affect you as a community. You even remember, for example, the story that they spoke about, that there's even a John Wick and there were Abu Boko Haram in the communities. They were unaliving people. This gang started unaliving people, but started doing a thing that affected the whole entire community. So you cannot just say because it's not because it's politicians that are unalived, therefore it's not a national thing. I think he was just contradicting himself, trying to justify his flawed reason and his flawed decision. I don't know what you guys think. We're still watching. We're still seeing the proceedings. I don't know what you guys think about everything that is happening with Senzo Mchunu and his lies and him trying to paint the PKTT as this structure, this organization or this task team that had no structure, that was not even constitutionally aligned, all aligned with the laws of SAPS, and it was just, disorganized. It was just everywhere. Hence, it had to be disbanded. But in the same breath, says that he wanted it to be part of the robbery or part of the unaliving unit. How could it be part of the unaliving and robbery unit when you are saying that it's not a good structure or it doesn't do the right job? Do you think that it will do better there? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what you guys think. Please comment your thoughts. And why would you disband to begin with if you think the structure is good, it's needed, but not for it to run in solo, but it has to run with other structures? This man, guys, this one is lying. And yeah, it doesn't matter. You can go and pay Bowman's or Weber, Windsor or whatever, the best attorneys or the best big five. How unalemaka, unamanga, Senzo Mchunu. I'll hear your thoughts, guys.